everyone, so welcome to or back to my channel. If you're looking for the weekly vlog, I'm sorry that's not what this is today. I've decided to do a very short series on learn to crochet, and this is part one. So welcome. There will be a clear thumbnail for to differentiate between the vlog and the crochet tutorials. So if you're only interested in watching one or the other or both, then you can choose. So rest assured, the weekly vlog is still happening. So today I'm going to talk about the absolute basics that you need to know before you learn to crochet. Many people want to learn to crochet for various reasons, whether it's relaxation, to make money, to gift. So one of the pitfalls that people fall into when they decide they want to learn to crochet is they become overwhelmed with all these really nice things around, such as teddy bears, clothing, household products such as blankets and so forth. And what you have to realise is a lot of those things that you see on social media, on the internet, in magazines, these are made by people who are experienced. So my first piece of advice for you is, yes, it's nice to have something in mind of what you would like to do eventually, but you have to start at the basics. You have to learn your ABCs. So this is what this series will cover. And hopefully by the end, you should be armed with knowledge of the equipment, the stitches, references, abbreviations and so forth to get going yourself. So before you start to learn to crochet, I recommend that you arm yourself with a good crochet hook. You need a nice small sharp pair of scissors. You need something that's called stitch markers, and you need a nice size needle, and this is for doing something called weaving in ends. My advice to you is when you're beginning to crochet is go for a larger size hook and avoid cotton. Cotton is an amazing product to work with, but it tends to separate. And when you're already having difficulties in trying to pull loops through loops, the last thing you'll need is your yarn separating on you. It's going to get you into all kinds of mess. So for the purpose of the tutorials, I'm going to use a larger size hook, which is this one's a 5mm. And for the yarn, I'm going to work with this acrylic mix. It's a little bit thicker. I'm sorry, I've lost the label for this. I want to say it's probably a double knit or an Aran. So it's a little bit of a thicker knit. And the reason I'm using that today is, one, it's easier to see, and two, it's easier to work with. This stuff is less likely to separate as opposed to the cotton. So that's what we're working with for the tutorials. Now you need a way to get your yarn to stick onto your hook. And by doing that, some people think they can just tie a knot and tie the yarn on. You could, but then you would have to have it very loose and you lose the ability to have control over your tension. So there's various ways to make a slip knot, and how I make a slip knot is I use the wrap around the finger method. So I take my yarn, it's very simple, index finger, and I just wrap it round 2 times. And it doesn't matter if you wrap it this way or if you wrap it from front to back, it really does not matter. So just all you do, wrap it around 2 times, you just loosely secure it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the loop nearest to your hand over, and then the second loop over, and then just slip that off your finger. You keep the first loop on your finger, and then you can take both of the tail and the rest of the yarn, just gently pull them, and then you take it off your finger, and there you have a slip knot. Okay, and then you can adjust the slip knot. You know, as you can see, it slides quite easily. So what I recommend when you're beginning to crochet is that you keep everything nice and loose. So there's your slip knot, and then now we can start with the chain stitch. We just need to make it a little bit tighter. So taking the tail end, just pull that very gently, just to tighten it a bit around. And you can see that it's very slippy on the hook, and that's exactly how we want it. What you need to do is make sure that you keep everything as nice and loose as you can, because when you're first learning to crochet, tension is always difficult for people to master. So I'm going to show you how I hold my yarn, but there's lots and lots of different ways to hold your yarn. I loosely hold the yarn in my index finger, and I just sort of gently just hold that. You can see I can pull that with no problem whatsoever. So my index finger, just sort of make like a little hook shape That's all it is. I'm not holding tightly, or, you know, you can see it's very, very loose. And then with my middle finger and my thumb, that's what I use to secure the work to the hook. So as it grows and grows and grows, I actually keep my pressure on at the hook just to keep things in place. So that's how I hold my yarn. But go onto YouTube and have a look, and there's loads and loads of different ways to do that. So we're going to chain, but please also keep an eye on the way the hook moves, because it's really important that you're not just staying static in a fixed position. Every time you're doing a stitch, you are moving the hook, and you're also moving your wrist. So that's why you need to keep things nice and loose. So how to do a chain? We take the piece of yarn that's currently trapped in my index finger, and then if you can see, I'm twisting the hook to make like a grabbing motion. So you should practice doing that. Don't worry about pulling it through. Just keep practicing this motion. So this is really difficult, especially if you're a knitter. Knitters have great difficulties in crocheting at the beginning because you're so used to doing things with two hands. So yarn nice and loose in like a pincer movement. Secure your yarn to the hook by holding it, very slippy, and then you just practice grabbing the yarn. Yeah, and then practice pulling it to making sure it doesn't flip off or slide off. Okay, so once you've mastered that, this is what we call yarn over. So yarn over, and then very slowly you're going to try and pull that yarn through the chain that was on your hook. Yarn over, and then you twist the hook, so you're making this grabbing motion, and remember, keep things nice and loose, and then you just slide it through, and then you've made another chain. Again, hook, so yarn over, through the loop, and then yarn over, through the loop. And then as you can see, you've made a chain of stitches. This is called a chain stitch. So you can count the number of chains that you've made. So we've got 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've made 6 chains. What I suggest you do is pause the video and count them. I've definitely got 6 chains here. So I would suggest you pause the video here at this point and count them so you can recognise what they look like. So I hope that made sense to you and it was easy to follow. And don't forget, you can always rewind, pause, fast forward. So that's the end of this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it was clear enough for you. Keep practicing your slip knots and keep practicing your chain. And don't forget, you really focus on, this this twisting motion, twisting, turning motion, and this grabbing. It's really important. If you master that, then everything else will be a lot easier for you, I promise. So don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. And if you want to leave a comment below, would love to hear from you. If you have suggestions, if you have questions, if anybody's reading those comments and can also answer those questions, please feel free to do so.